Well, it's official. Mike Kabongo suspended 23 games by the NCAA. The NCAA saying that's because of unethical conduct and accepting benefits. He also has to repay $475 to a charity of his choice. That was the airfare that was paid when he went to work out for LeBron James' trainer. That was a time where Kabongo Jay was considering jumping to the NBA. It's done now. He will have a chance to return. Your thoughts on how it was handled?
Well, it's disappointing. It's disappointing on a variety of levels. And I understand I'm a rules guy. I believe in accountability and being forthcoming. But this was something that didn't have to happen. Mike Kabongo did not lie to the NCAA. He wasn't forthcoming in initial interviews with Texas compliance people. He didn't have counsel. He didn't have anybody helping him. And he made a mistake. Usually when those things happen, they're handled inside, within house. And it doesn't become an issue with the NCAA. In this case, it did. And I wind up, Dave, asking, what are we really accomplishing here? Who do we want to be in college athletics? Because what the NCAA did was suspend a kid essentially for a year, then cut it to 23 games, and called him a liar. And for what? For something that had to do with a plane ticket and a workout? And I think it is excessive. I think it was over the top, and I think it was really unnecessary. And the NCAA logo was on that statement yesterday that said Mike Kabongo is a great kid that decided to come back to forego the NBA and come back to school. And the NCAA said unethical conduct, you are a liar. When in other contexts, like with Penn State, they haven't said a word about Graham Spanier and other administrators there. Not a word. No unethical conduct there. And I think that's a huge contradiction. And the message we're sending to other young kids is, hey, if you decide to come back, you may get this kind of treatment from the NCAA. Why would you come back? I think we're sending a bad message here, and I don't really like it.
Felix, the man who is filling in at that point guard spot, he's gone through some growing pains, but he hits the jump shot, and Texas has pulled to within one. Again, Kabongo can return to play on the 13th of February against Iowa State. That's with about 8 games remaining in the Big 12 season. As Jay mentioned, Texas did appeal the original NCAA suspension of the entire season, and it was reduced to 23 games. Of course, he hasn't played a minute all season long for the Longhorns. That seemed to take forever, by the way, from the time when he originally began talking to the school. That was back in the spring.
It was back in May, and it all came from a tweet that said he was in LA working out. Now, LA, by that, he meant he was in Lower Akron, was making a joke that I'm in LA.
And they thought Los Angeles.
And they thought Los Angeles, and they thought agent. And the young man, now he should have been completely forthcoming, but a lot of people I've spoken to within the structure say, look, this is a lot like parenting. As a parent, when you confront a child, like a teenage child or something, say, hey, listen, we know you did this. The initial response is to deny it. I mean, Kabongo did not have counsel. And let me, Dave, any time that the NCAA, there's a compliance issue with an administrator, a coach, with a school, first thing they do is get a lawyer. They get outside counsel. Now, the players don't get that. And that would have facilitated this being handled in a much better fashion. And I think the players need counsel and they need help because the deck is stacked against them. They feel your eligibility is at issue. You're scared. You're mistrustful of your own compliance people, and you're certainly mistrustful of the NCAA. And at the end of this, we've got an organization that says we care about. We don't care about little stuff. We care about major threats to integrity. So we're saying this is a threat to integrity. We don't say a word about Graham Spanier. The NCAA doesn't say a word about Graham Spanier. We have nothing to say on that. But we're going to call Mike Kabongo, who came back to school, which we should be encouraging. We're going to call him a liar.